Well, hello again, everyone. I am Pastor Mike, and I am glad to be with you again this week. And on this episode of Living with Purpose, I just want to talk to you about, the place that Christ has that holds in your life. And I would just ask you, what place does Christ have in your life? Does he come first? Is he second? Or is he third? I like to think sometimes, we all have daily schedules and daily routines. Where does God fall in that category? Where does he fall in that schedule? I think of myself, on a typical weekday morning, I'm up, you get showered, you eat breakfast, you get dressed. It is mandatory to get that cup of coffee for me. It's just that important to me to get that cup of coffee. But just as important as it is to get that cup of coffee, you better believe that Jesus Christ is a lot more significant to me than a cup of coffee. So there is time that I have for devotion. Now, you don't have to be so rigid on how this goes. There are times where I get up in the morning and I have time to spend time with God, spend time in his word before I leave home. And if not, I do make time as soon as I get to my office and, I'm able to sit down in his word, sit down and, give prayer time. And it's just the place that I give him in my life. He is priority in my life. And that's what we want to talk about today. Where does Jesus fall in your life? And I just want you to get to the point where if he's not already, making him first place in your life above anyone and anything. He must be first place in your life. We come to church on a Sunday morning and we spend an hour and a half in service and we get a good word but as good as that word is coming from our pulpit, it's not enough to sustain me for the entire week. I cannot get an hour and a half of teaching and expect that to last 7 days. I must spend time with the Lord on a daily basis. We must spend time with the Lord on a daily basis, giving him first place. How often would you like to come to church? Is an hour and a half a week enough? Would you like more? How involved are you in your local church? Do you come and give of your time, give of your talent, give of your treasury? These are all the areas where we're making him first place. If I want him to be first place in my finances, you better believe I'm tithing. If I want him to be first place in my marriage, you better believe I'm going to go to the Word and find scriptures that's going to help me in that area. How many of us get into our lives, not get into our lives, but in our lives, it just seems like everything's just so busy. We're like, I got to do this. And it seems like it could get a little bit chaotic at times with the spreading out of my time. Well, if you need more time, give of your time. Give more time. Bring it to the body. Give of your time to someone at the church. Get involved. I had a friend of mine that called me one day and he asked me about. He was sharing with me that, hey, I'm not a part of a church. I don't really go to church, but I make sure every Sunday that I sit down and I watch this certain preacher on TV and I get the word and I get the message. Am I doing? Is it right? Should I be giving to that preacher that's sharing? And my answer was absolutely. If that's right now in your life, if that's the only way you're being fed the word, then absolutely you should be given into that ministry. It is not free for airtime on television. So absolutely you should be, if that's where you're getting fed. Now, however, there was a second part to that, because I also had to share with him that, even though you're given to this ministry, which you should, however, you're still not totally in order, because you're not connected to anyone. You're not in fellowship with anyone. You're not able to bring of your talent to help out and to serve in church, into God's kingdom, really. it says to bring your time, talent, and treasury. You're giving your treasury, at least you started, but you need to give her your time and your talent as well. And that's all about being connected to a body. And if Jesus is first place in your life, let's look at this. Let's go over to, actually I have it on my phone if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. No, I don't. Sorry. But if we go over to Matthew, look at chapter 18. I like to think of it as this. Chapter 18 and verse 20. Verse 20 says, where 2 or 3 gather together as my followers, I am there among them. So this is what we're missing out. It's a little bit selfish to think that you can stay home, watch television, watch a sermon on television. If you're not in fellowship, then how is God there among you? God says where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am among you. And that's what I'm just saying, to get into fellowship, be with someone, connect with someone, so that God can be right there among you. I'm sharing that verse because I just want to get over the point of being in fellowship with another. Over in Proverbs 27 verse 17, it says that iron sharpens iron just as one man sharpens another. It's hard for me to sharpen someone, which is, to build someone up, to encourage someone, if I'm at home on my couch all alone and I'm not there with them. I can't, it's hard for me to sharpen you. Like, how can I even give you an example? How can I display, a good godly walk before you if I'm at home all alone? So this is another area where I say, get involved. Make sure you're in fellowship. Make sure God's getting first place. Like, God, yes, I'm coming to church. I want to be first place. I want you to be first place in my life. I don't need anything else before you. Isn't it amazing how when God did the 10 Commandments, number 1 was, do not have any other gods before me? And because God knew, number 1, that there was going to come, God already knew there were going to be other things fighting for our attention. He already knew. That's why commandment number 1, have no other gods before me. Now, when we say gods, we're not just talking about some spirit being or things like that. Your God could be your job. Your God could be your vehicle. Your God could be your spouse. Your God could be a number of things. Anything that we give more attention to than we are to God Himself, more than likely that's who your God is. Hey, been there. Hey, my younger years, I wish I had it all together, but I didn't. But thank the Lord, He never let go of me, because once upon a time in my life, man, there was a lot of other things that was more important to me with God. I wasn't going to church. I invested a lot of time in my cars and sports cars and trucks and things like that. And even the friends that I ran around with, they were even more important to me than God Himself. But thank God He never let go. He just never let go. He kept after me. But until I got to a point where I made Him for absolute first place. Look, guys, I have a great wife. She's a lovely wife. I love her. But even she understands that I love God first. First God, then her. And it's like, vice versa, the same thing. I know she loves me, and I know she loves me well, but I understand that there's another man in her life that comes before me, and that's God Himself. Like, God first, then us. When we can love God first, it's a little bit easier to love someone else, because I'm going to love His children the way He asks me to love them. But I have to love Him first and understand the true meaning of love. So I would just think, really be honest with yourself. Are there any other things that you think you put before God? Are you making a little bit more are you prioritizing something else than you are God? And be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, is there And if so, replace it. Replace it with God. If you're looking for a little bit of organization, a little bit more, things are just out of order, put God first and watch how everything else begin to line up. Just watch it. As long as God first, everything God did, he did it in order. Everything he does it in order. And that's exactly the way he wants us to get. He wants us to be in order. And number one is starting by making him first place in your life above anything and anyone else. It's like your walk with God. If he's first place in your life, then you must know that your walk with God is going to be a healthy one. It's going to be a healthy relationship. And you want it to be a healthy relationship. Hey, kind of look at it like this. You ever think about high cholesterol? Like high cholesterol, we know is bad. High cholesterol leads to many other things. Where it can lead to a buildup of fatty, just a fatty buildup. It can lead to damaging blood vessels. It can lead to blocked arteries, which eventually leads to stroke or heart attack or disease or something like that. It goes on and on and on and on and on like that. Well, it's the same way with your relationship with God. Like if there's something else that's if you're putting high cholesterol is a result of just putting like junk and a lot of mess into our bodies. That's where it comes from. When we're adding in all this other junk and all this mess, well, eventually it'll get to that point. And it's the same way with God, guys. If we're adding a lot of junk and a lot of other mess in our lives before God, then our relationship eventually gets in the same situation. It starts, a relationship that's not healthy with God leads to sin, leads to shame, leads to guilt, leads to depression. You see the trickle effect I'm saying? Like you want a healthy relationship so you know exactly who you are in Christ and you know exactly who your identity is in him. Not adding all the junk and the mess. It's easy for us to put all the junk and the mess before him, whether that's television, like I gotta watch the television show before I have spent time with God, or whether it's social media. Lord knows there's a lot of junk and mess there. I mean, it's not all bad, but there is a lot of junk and mess on social media, just like there's a lot of junk and mess on television, just like there's a lot of junk and mess being sung about in certain songs. So if I'm putting all of that before God, how do I expect to have a healthy relationship with him? How do I expect to be to be healthy and not allowing the junk and the mess to cause blockage in my life? Just like I was talking about with the high cholesterol, it causes blockage, and I do not want to put a barrier between God and myself. This is not an area we want to be in. Again, this is a very dangerous place to be, to have a barrier between you and God. Between us and God. We don't want that. I want God to be first place. I want God to be so, hey, answer me this, like what commitment are you willing to make him first place? Think about all the things that you're involved with, things that are in your life. What commitment are you really willing to make in order to make him first place? Are you willing to replace anything for him? You get that out of the way and put God in there for you to make him first place. Not second, not third, first place. Give God first place in your life. Basically I'm asking you, what kind of relationship you want with him, really? What kind of relationship do you want? How do you want God to operate in your lives? He wants to do big things. I can promise you, he wants to do grand things in your life, but there must not be a barrier that's coming before him and putting him like on the back burner. Like I'll get to the Bible when I get to it. First, I want to take care of this, and this. No, that's out of order. I want God to have such first place in it. Hey, God has such first place in my life now that I get excited. There's a joy that comes with actually sharing him with other people, because not only do I want to experience it, I want someone else to experience it. I have no problem being able to share his goodness with friends or acquaintances or neighbors, anything like that. And that's the place we want. We give him first place, where I'm not ashamed of him. I want everyone to know about him, because he has first place. It's easy for me to go and brag on my wife. She's a wonderful woman. I could brag on her, and I have no problem telling people on how good she is. But that's the same way, like, I'm even more excited about the way I brag about God and the just amazing things that he's done in my life and our lives, and I'm sure he's even done it in your life. So give God first place in your life. That's all I'm trying to get across. Make your relationship with God a healthy one, a strong one that's solid and cannot be broken. So I hope you enjoyed this segment, and I thank you for allowing me to share with you, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.